so human. Are there chests? I can smell chests. I want chests. Give me chests. Where are they? Why is there no chests? Feed my gamba addiction. Lene, why are you broke? I mean, I guess it's lore accurate. Oh,
Smells are all mixed together. It's kind of fishy. The texture is wet and gooey.
So, it's true, huh? You guys actually made food that tastes awful, but it keeps you running for 3 days straight. I thought that was just a joke.
It's a scientific breakthrough using energy compression tech. It's one of the collective's most iconic achievements.
mm.
Also plot markers.
You seen the Seal Rover leak? It's 50-50, so I'm not posting it. It's like you got people in Fractured Shores saying that Glacial Rover is coming. And then you got them saying Glacial Rover isn't coming. So I'm just gonna wait until there's more confirmation on it. I don't think it's that big of a deal whatever Rover ends up being though. Like if he's gonna be anything, it's probably between Fusion or Glacial. And if that's the case, it's like either Amy people win because they can get a cheaper team on her negative status thing. Like you only need Chisa on the third slot probably. Or what's it called? Or or maybe they just make third slot Fusion Rover. Or you get Glacial Rover, and that's for like the Annie character. Either way, it's like a it's also like we're constantly flip flopping. It went from like Electro Rover, then it went to Glacial Rover, then it went to Fusion Rover, then it went to Glacial. Now it's back to Glacial not being real. Like I'm getting tired of it.
I'm fine now.
It's gonna be Electro, low key, Kyle. I was like memeing in the Discord for a bit about that. About it being Electro because on Step Leaks' roadmap, I think the next Senres in Mengzhou is Electro. So I was like, low key, what if they just baited everybody and made Rover Electro instead? But that would mean we wouldn't get Electro Rover for like a lot of patches, which is weird. Yeah, it would be funny.
Oh, calm down, Maya.
More nine. Defeat the malfunctioning robots? Oh.
Model complete. Authorizing maximum output. Power modules ready.
That was the shortest combat showcase I've ever seen. No, I'm not gonna play Enfield.
I'm Mornay, and this is my mentor. Let me try that again.
What?
It's some kind of weird device. A device? Leave the mechanical work to me. Steady now.
What's with the 1 millionth Phainon buff? There's a chance buff Sparkle is now best in slot for Phainon. Because before V3, her buffs would run out once you entered a new wave, which was anti-synergistic with Phainon, because it's like the first wave, he can get all the buffs from Sparkle, but the second one, they disappear. And he loses a shit ton of like vulnerability and stuff like that. But in the new V3, they made it so that the buffs are tied to Sparkle herself instead of the enemies. So Sparkle now gives him Res Pen, gives him 30% vulnerability, gives him some fat attack buffs. She has an E1 with better attack buffs, and then she has an E2 with 30% defense shred, which is also incredibly synergistic. So, oh, I think her crit damage also apparently got slightly buffed, I think. Unless that was Sparksy I'm thinking about. It might be Sparksy actually, but she got buffed. So I don't think Cyrene is best in slot anymore. I think Cyrene would be better for like maybe anomaly arbitration. Because it's like it's easier to run sustainless in AA with Cyrene because Venomy's doing so much damage. But I think outside of AA it's like negligible. If not, she's just worse. Oh nice, hey guy. Yeah, it's better getting Augusta sequences over getting Actually, I'll let you know right now. I can probably tell the difference. Let's see. Where's Augusta? And it isn't loading. Please load. Please load. It's not loading Augusta's sheet. It's loading everything but her. Okay, there we go. So going from S0 to S2 Augusta increases her damage by 600,000 or around 50% from S0. So going to Mortefi to going to is only about a 300k buff, which means going to S2 is twice as good as getting Oh, you have in her weapon. Oh. So, wait, he should have a sheet for this, yeah. 1 second. Yeah. So Augusta S2R1, S0R1, SK S0 is 2.5 milli. For reference, at S0 it's like 1.8 milli. So a 700k increase. What website do you use to calculate? It's not so much a website, it's just a theory crafter who's been in the game for a long time. His name is Chemex32. So just look up like Chemex32, Augusta Calx, or Cartethia Calx, or something like that. And like you should be able to find the sheet. I'll still use Cyrene because it's brain dead. No, I agree. A lot of people are still gonna use Cyrene because it's like you literally never need to think after you do the first rotation, right? Like you do the first rotation, you got Phainon and ult, and then from there it's just really obvious usually what you're supposed to do. There isn't much like min-maxing that you can actually do. But I think like a high ceiling Sparkle will for sure be better than Cyrene. Her E2 and E1 is also like. Let me check Sparkle's E1. It's been a long time. I think it's an attack buff though.
So this is what's caused.
Like someone was like, oh, but what if I get Cyrene E2? Would it be better than Sparkle E2? I don't think so. Because her E1 buffs her attack buff, and then the E2 has defense shred. Let me see. Yeah, the E1's an attack buff. Which also increases Dan Hong PT dragon damage. Whoa. G-Def hits harder? Yeah. I'm thinking of like personally, I'm thinking of getting S6 Galbrina. Not anytime soon, but over time. I didn't know her S6 was that broken. Thank you for supporting Kuro Games. I mean, I might not even technically spend money. Like, I'll still have like my monthly passes and stuff, but it would be saved over a lot of time. Or I can get lucky, and then yeah, sure, I could get S6 Galbrina, but you gonna pull the new Arrow DPS Sigrika, who totally fits the Arrow element? No. The reality is, unfortunately, like, I. Unless she power creeps the fuck out of the game, she just isn't worth it, is the best way I can put it. Because, like, for example, my Qyuan with, like, a Mortefi and SK, because he's S6, would do nearly 2 million damage per rotation, right? And because of this, Qyuan's support capability for Echo Skill DPSs, unless they make Sigrika, like, really reliant on him, is trash. So, theoretically, if I put my S6 Qyuan, right, with a Sigrika, I'd maybe be able to hit like 2.5 million damage per rotation. But then I lose Qyuan as a main DPS, which isn't worth it, right? And that's assuming her best in slot team. If I were to give Qyuan my Linne, he probably does like 1.2 million per rotation. Or sorry, more than that. He does like 2.4 million per rotation. So because he's E6 or sorry S6, it isn't worth it for me at least. Sagrika is Arrow? Yeah, according to Iris, like, very likely she's Arrow. I need to use the rest of my 3.0 funds, my 3.1 funds, 3.2 funds, and 3.3 funds all into Galbraina sequences. That's the plan currently. She has a really juicy S6. It's actually slightly better than Cart's, which I didn't expect. Are you pulling Galbraina? Because I like her. I just had the sudden urge to get her. However, after that, I decided to look at her sequence investment and found out it was better than Cart's. So I want to get her sequences too. It's just that simple. I also technically already have one teammate for her. And on top of that, she doesn't need Sig. So, a really good DPS for my account to invest into. Sparkle didn't get a buff. She just got QOL, which made it technically a buff. Her buffs don't disappear when entering a new wave anymore. So it works with Phainon. Yeah, Taco. And then her S6 is a 2.7x multiplier from S0. I looked at it. She's able to hit like 4 million DBR if she's in her right team. And Namor and I is competitive with it, so. That's my goal right now. One of the great things about Lua is even though it has power creep, it isn't that fast as compared to something like HSR, so I just have no issues doing this. I'd imagine it'd take like until near 5.x in Lua for an S6 Galbraina to be like not special anymore. Yeah, Taco, I was surprised. Her S6 is a bigger jump than Cartethia's S6. Like from S0. Cartethia's is better from S0 to S3. But Galbraina gets like an insane jump at S6. It's actually insanity. E1 Saridra is just a better E1 Sunday. Yeah, Taco, because it's like I don't care about Segrika. I feel like maybe, right? I'm not gonna deny it. I could maybe like have a change of mind depending on the Annie character. But outside of that, it's like I can't really think of anyone that would make me want to go for them over Galbraina, except Rebecca. But like, I could just get Rebecca on my Cartethia account. You know what I'm saying? Like I could just do that and then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
There are signs of old matter contamination in the plants and water. If I follow these traces, I should
Oh
be
yeah,
able
I
to
forgot about that Alum. Oh my god. It's been so long since I played Phainon. I forgot Saridra E1 adds an extra stack every time she uses skill on him.
model complete.
So yeah, it also does that.
Initiating criticality protocol. Command mode engaged. Found it. This must be where the contamination is coming from. Heavy encryption. Heartbeat slow.
If I had to guess, the strongest Phainon team would probably be something like E1 Saridra, Sparkle of course, and then any 4 slot. You could run Sustainless, but it's way harder. Like obviously I'd recommend most people run Donhung PT without Cyrene. But if you are able to like run Sustainless without issue, it'd probably be something like E1 May because of the defense shred stacking, Tribby, maybe just Sunday for faster action advances because now skill points isn't an issue with Sparkle, stuff like that.
Belong to the owner of this map.
Investigate the terminal. How much of an increase would Sparkle be to Archer from E0 Sparkle? I mean, it's an attack buff from E1, and then a defense shred buff from E2. It also depends on whether or not you use Quantum Set on him as well. If you use Quantum Set, then the E2 jump is probably better. Phainon would benefit from it way more, though. At least given some of his vertical investments. But it should be good. Like, even if you're technically starting from 0, I think 30% defense shred would probably be like a 20% overall damage increase. But if you're starting from 20 from the Quantum Set and going to 50, it's like 30%. Yeah, Cyrene is like she's still good for the airs, you know what I'm saying? But my point is kind of already being proven. Like half the air DPSs don't have Cyrene as a best in slot anymore, or she's barely a best in slot. Like you have Aggie, you have Phainon, you have the Dot team, and then you as well have all these other like collab characters. None of them have Cyrene as a best in slot. She's only best in slot now for like half of them. The ones that really rely on her.
Oh, good. The heliogyre is back online. I now have direct contact with Soul Asylum and can relay the data you need for the new solar ceremony. It's time for the final step.
Nah, she's also a noticeable increase for like Mono Rem and Evernight Alum. There's also that. At least on things that are like longer than 0 cycles. But nah, not Aglaya. She isn't that big of a jump for Aglaya, I'm pretty sure. Unless something changed after her release. Because if I remember correctly, she was like 5% better in a Aglaya team over Sunday. And then she was maybe 16% better if you used Hyacine as the sustain instead. Which is like pretty underwhelming.
The moment we launch Helios, we'll need the raw observational data from Sol Asylum. Are you ready?
Yes. The Shaper has already shared all the heliogyre's data. I can access it anytime. Everything's set. Let's complete our mission.
Yeah, main DPS Evernight I think is the, well, no, it's probably Anoxa. But like Mono Rem, Anoxa, and Evernight all get like 40 plus 50 plus % jumps from getting Cyrene. At least once like all her buffs are down.
Helios launch sequence initiating.
Already want to fold for Galbrena? Yep. S6.
Helios is ready for launch. 5, 4, 3, 2. Let our light
I should be able to stack up like 300 pulls, including Annie. Guess what? I'm at S3 and also going for S6. Oh, really, Street? Yeah. Originally, Street, I was gonna stop at like S2 or S3 for her. But when I checked Pride Win, because I was curious how big her sequences would be, I saw how insane of a jump her S6 was. And I was like, I kind of want that. How does it feel like needing to pull for Sagrika? I don't, Solus. That's a thing, though. Like, it's just not worth it for me. I'm pretty sure main DPS Kyuan, if I gave him limited supports like Lene plus Mornai, would be stronger in main DPS than Sagrika with my Kyuan. Yeah, Steel.
Command mode engaged. All targets in sight. Leave it to me. Close position confirmed. I'm detecting strong energy signals from the enemy. Please be careful. Assuming master control. Stars, hear my query.
Yeah, I saw that, Raj. I saw it. I'm curious which one will end up being right. I think Amy, it would be nice if it was Fusion Rover. Because unlike the other negative status units, Amy doesn't have like a free-to-play alternative to Lene. And she doesn't have a free-to-play alternative to like third slot either. Yo, cool, dude.
Hover modules ready. Watch its position, Mentor. Assuming master control. Initiating max power output.
10 out of 10 God hit gameplay. True.
Mission complete.
Do you do account reviews? Nah. No, yeah, that's what I've been arguing for, Shahar, for like so long at this point. Is like so many people. I understand why people go against Eidolons, right? But in a game like Honkai Star Rail, where supports are constantly becoming stronger, faster and faster and faster, I would recommend most people, for the characters they really like and want to use for a long time, go into the DPS's Eidolons instead. Because, for example, let's say you pulled for Phainon's original best in slot team, right? Which was Phainon, Sunday, like Tribby, and someone else, right? Until Saridra came out. And you didn't go into his Eidolons. That's like your entire limited team. Then you have to pull Saridra now, because Saridra's the best in slot for him, and you kick someone else out. And now you need to get Cyrene, now in 3.7, because she's best in slot for Phainon and way better for him in Anomaly Arbitration. And now Sparkle can also be best in slot. You know what I'm saying? So if someone got E2 Phainon before they started investing crazy into limited supports, they would have saved way more pulls. Like way more. And like of all characters, obviously Phainon is the most obvious one. Like Anoxa is maybe the only character that this wouldn't apply to, because his Eidolon investment is so trash. But Phainon, it especially applies to. To be honest, even Evernight gets like similar jump to E2 as Phainon, so it's like, but she has better horizontal investment as compared to Phainon. I think Phainon's horizontal investment now is gonna be like E2 Sparkle. It's like E1 Saridra, E2 Sparkle. If you run it with Donhung PT, his E1 and E2, or if you run it like Sustainless with someone else, or Cyrene, her E2, it's gonna look something like that. Wee.
This should be enough for right now.
Eidolons galore. I mean, you don't need the Eidolons. That's just like most optimal investment possible. It's like talking about Ameth. Like her best in slot team would be like S3 with the Sig, then like S2 Lene, maybe S1 Mordai for full uptime on the 40% damage bonus, something like that. It's just that in HSR, I feel much more free to talk about vertical investment than Lua.
Let's grab the institutes.
Because people are more used to it. Oh yeah, Phainon has S5 Lycone too. I forgot about that actually. His S5 is like comparable to his E6. Well, better, but I will say that E6 has its advantages. And I feel like that shouldn't be taken away. Its main advantage is that you can live longer without a Cyrene team. And even if the DPAV is similar, against normal content, you do more damage to the boss with E6 Phainon. Because of the way the true damage works. The only reason like the light cone works so well against that break boss and anomaly arbitration is because all 5 things count towards his health bar. So you're not wasting any damage.
Are you leaving?
Holy lag.
Sometimes, only by saying goodbye can there be progress and change.
Oh wait, it isn't lagging. I think this is on purpose.
Even if I
Or
leave,
maybe not, I don't know.
the High Roy will still continue forward on its own feet. Isn't that right?
No, I agree, Alum, I agree. Like, I'd recommend most people go into the Lycone, even if it doesn't have, like, the QOL of Phainon's Eidolons. Because, like, well, obviously, one, like you said, is cheaper. But also, you can put the Lycone on someone else in the future. If you ever end up wanting to do that. That just looks laggy? Yeah, I thought it was straight up just lagging.
How wonderful. Sun. So beautiful.
Funny, it seems like the sequences you can purchase, store, and Woowa should be more into vertical investment. Well, like, a big part of, like, this Woowa community and stuff, at least for a long time now, is that power creep and HP inflation doesn't exist. So people go, like, hard on being like, no, you don't need sequences, you don't want sequences, they aren't worth it. But in reality, it's like, sequences are pretty fucking solid in this game, especially now. That's the difference. Because HSR has more HP inflation, like, people are just used to Eidolon investment at this point. It isn't anything foreign to them. Like, you could mention E2 Phainon. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, E2 Phainon had as many owners as E0 Phainon. If I remember correctly, E2 Firefly and, like, E6 Firefly are way more popular than E0 Firefly. Stuff like that. But it's like, I was talking with a person in the chat earlier, talking about how they got S2 Augusta, and we were talking about it. He got S2 Augusta, right? Now he does have Uno, right? But I checked it anyways because I thought he didn't have Uno at the time. Going from S0 to S2 for Augusta, if you buy with corals, is only 90 pulls worth and increases her damage by 50%, which was a 600k increase from what I saw. Uno is only like a 300k increase. So you can get double the performance from sequences, same cost if you purchase with corals, and you don't have to waste your money on Uno. Well, I guess it really depends. I'd say if you only care about TOA and Weewa right now, you probably don't need like sequence investment. Like, you just don't. But if you care about double pawns matrix, I actually would recommend sequence investment for a lot of people. Like, if you're trying to go for that full clear at least. I mean, you do pull supports in Wuwa. You just don't pull Yuno. Because you could barely call Yuno a support. Like, if you're losing to a 4-star in terms of support, then you aren't really a support. Like, there's no reason for it. Don't you want horizontal for double pawns matrix? You do, but you only okay. So the requirement for double pawns matrix is, I think, 5k points on a multitude of teams. You can do that with, like, free to play DPSs and much older DPSs. So while you aren't wrong, it's like 6 teams, I think, is the max requirement. It makes it so much easier if you have one sequence invested team that is just obliterating everything. or multiple teams like that. Yeah, like Bronte said he got 5K with Ling Yang, San Juan, SK. Like, if that's possible, then most 1.x and 2.x DPSs could probably achieve that. Not for the average player, maybe, but no, for my own agenda, I wish Kyuan was like a for sure. Like, I'm not gonna deny that. I wish Kyuan had like main DPS capability because I have him S6. If Kyuan did like damage plus the S6 I currently have on him, he'd do like nearly 4 million damage per rotation in his best in slot team, which is what could have been, right? But unfortunately, there's no point in harping on it.
Can you keep up?
But my opinion is like she is versatile, but like there's already so many third slots in Wuwa. There's also a lot of second slots at this point. You can use free rover for a few teams. I don't really think there's any need for like in all honesty. Not that she's bad, I just don't think she's great. Do you have polling plans for 4.x and HSR? It's iffy right now. On my Anoxa account, yes. I'm obviously just gonna get Sparkle for Archer, and then I'm gonna get Cyrene and Ceridra eventually for my Anoxa. But for my Cassie account, I don't know. It's kind of like here nor there. I usually get lucky when I pull on stream, so I want to see if I get an early Mornai or not. Please. Please. Give me gold. Give me gold. Unfortunate. Is Cypher better in HSR than is in Wuwa? Nah. Cypher has like absolutely no place on any team in the entirety of HSR except Acheron. I think it's like a much worse case for Cypher. True, bro, man, true. Well, yeah, I know you can use Cypher in an Archer team, but like it's contentious in the first place among other supports, including Tribby, which is like if you have the option of going for Tribby or Cypher, like you already know what I'm going to say. This actually like the same situation applies to Augusta. It's like technically her best in slot team is with but if you like with Lene now, you can just run Lene Mornai, way more general supports, way more valuable than and it's like damn near on the exact same level as SK for Augusta. So it's like I'd rather someone go for the much more highly valued like generalist buffer than go for Cypher, for example, or as well. Archer with E1 Seri feels nice. Why? Because of just the defense shred stacking? Eh. Archer just has like Archer is bad vertical investment like Anoxa, but taken to another level. Even Anoxa has better vertical investment than that guy. I mean, it just applies to both the Fae collab characters. It's so hard to make them any stronger. Not Sparkle. Archer is lucky as shit that Sparkle got buffed. No, even his E1 is really bad now. Because his E1 is technically just an extra arrow, but because of Sparkle's increased SP positivity, even an E0 Archer can do 4 to 5 arrows like super consistently. So his E1 makes less of a difference towards his total DPS. E6 Phase Saber is fun to use though, Cope. uh... No, yeah, I agree, Alum. I said the same thing too. When they released and like the banners would last a long ass time, it makes sense. Cause like, imagine if they gave the collab characters like Phainon level Eidolons, right? And their banners are up for literally like a year straight. Everybody would have like an E2, E6 Saber Archer just completely fucking destroying everything. And there's no FOMO. Because the banners just don't go away. Like, the gacha wouldn't want to do that. Cypher's damage is insignificant. It really doesn't matter. And even if you build like Cypher, like building Cypher on damage doesn't make any difference to her recorded damage on ult. So it's just better to build her on speed. You're also going to be basicing on her a lot of the time because you prefer SP positivity. Yeah, a lot of people are going to use E2 Sparkle now. That's like a real thing. E1 with the attack buff and E2 with 30% defense shred. Phainon can probably hit near 100% with E1 May. Like, you use an E0 S1 Phainon, an E1 Seri, an E1 May, and then an E2 Sparkle. That's probably near 100%. I don't remember how much defense shred his Lycone gives, though. Sparkle means are winning and I'm not happy. Yeah. I saw someone say in my recent video, like, yeah, you were right about Cyrene, but what about Sparkle? It's like, dude, how the fuck would I have been able to predict this buff? Like, technically, I was actually right. If you don't include this buff, like, Jesus. I thought, if anything, they nerf her in this new version, but all they did was make her more valuable. I guess they really want to push her. Is E2 Fei Xiao competitive with 3.0 DPSs? Competitive. The thing is, Fei Xiao has a really high ceiling. So an E2 Fei Xiao, for example, can get like low cost zero cycles here and there, but that just does not apply to the average player in the slightest, especially in sustained teams. So I'd say no, especially after the release of Cyrene buffing these Amphorius characters. She's like I'd say she's between the middle, right? She's stronger than probably easily like every other 2.x DPS except Firefly after the buffs, but she isn't 3.x DPS level. I don't think she's made that jump yet. Yeah, but E2 Fei Xiao's zero cycling is just like she's so good and she has such a high ceiling. But the relic investment and like the knowledge of play required just can't be matched by like 95% of the player base. E2 Firefly is like really strong right now. I'd say E2 Firefly and her best in slot team is probably competitive with like Mono Rem and some of these other ones. Just because she got buffed by Dahlia. They made her valuable just so they could sell elation characters. I mean, I don't disagree. It's kind of normal at this point. Black Swan buff too, just because of Heislands. Nihilux might also possibly be something related to Dot. Maybe a Dot sustain that people have been begging for. Mono Rem? Yeah. Like an E0 Firefly with her best in slot break team currently in sustainless is like mid tier Amphorius DPS level. Her E2 buffs her and decreases her SP consumption by an astronomical amount. So the E2 probably just does put her on like Phainon levels and like these other character levels. But assuming they're at E0. If you give these other ones E2, then they are obviously stronger. But I don't think that's bad, right? It's like because technically Firefly is an entire version older than these characters. You only put two extra limited into her, and she's competitive, or if not stronger than a lot of them. So Archer now is probably better than Fei Xiao for sure. Right now he is with the sparkle buff. Archer has been able to cheat like cost systems because of him being free for a long time now. So and also like the HP inflation wasn't too bad when he first came out, which allowed him to get like zero cost, one cost, zero cycles. I thought Anoxa is better. Well, yeah, Anoxa is better. I didn't say he isn't. But Archer is probably now like up there too, above Fei Xiao as well. I mean, the one thing you can tell yourself, Solus, is that if they're buffing Sparkle this much to be way stronger than any other hyper carry buffer, the power creep from Yai is probably going to be insane. And if Sparksy, her kit has been changed to be more sub DPS oriented. If she is actually like an Evernight situation, but this early into the version, and she's not an Elation main DPS, then Yai is just gonna shit on everybody. Like, no offense, but have you guys seen how much damage Sparksy does on her just her elation shit? Like, it's almost always a milli plus. And that's just the aha instant elation thingies. No, I'm not going to play Enfield. Fuck Enfield. I'm tired of this question. I don't actually hate it, but like I'm just I got too much on my hands, okay? That's in a shield endgame environment though. I mean, it doesn't really matter because like Sparksy got buffs in V3. Her team buffing got buffs. Yao Guang got buffed to have further vertical investment and be better for elation damage in this new V3. And this is without a third elation unit that makes Aha instant even faster and probably do more damage. So it's like it doesn't really matter. It's only up from here really. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it rubbed me the wrong way when I saw they slightly nerfed the free elation LC. It's like, dude, we get it, man. We fucking get it. Like, it didn't even need a nerf. I mean, I understand, like, Yao Guang's Lycone is pretty underwhelming. And they also want, people to pull the Lycones, but, like, Jesus. I only play on 2 HSR accounts. I don't play a million like a lot of people say. Like I have more, but like I just don't play them anymore. Or like Solus, for example, plays on my Phainon account. Do you think it's gonna be elation sustain Blade? I've been saying it for a while now. I think it's Blade. Will you post a Redraw for a Nox account? Depends on her banner placement. The thing is, like, I can't guarantee you guys that I'll pull characters as easily as I do on like some of these other accounts on my Anoxa one because that one is strictly free to play. Not a dime has been spent on that account. So it's like my pull income is less. If I lose 50/50s, I'm just kind of fucked. Now, Sparkle is guaranteed because I lost my 50/50 for Cyrene. So if she's like on the rerun banner for 4.0, I'm instantly picking that up. But then after that, it's iffy whether or not I could get both Cyrene and Saridra. I'd like to think I can get Cyrene, guaranteed. But I don't know if I could get both if they rerun close. I mean, I literally told people this, Twilight. Like, to this day, I still truly believe Phainon Beta was the absolutely most miserable to go through. And it's because it's the first case in HSR history of like a male main push DPS when the leakers and leaked kits became so popular. Like technically there was Dill, but that was at the very beginning of the game. But leak culture grew so much from then, and like the agenda people had for Phainon was insanity. Like I remember specifically people saying that they wanted Phainon to be stronger than Cassie without any best in slot teammates, um, because he's a dude and they're tired of women being strong. Like, are we serious? This guy is like the easiest to buff. It doesn't get easier to buff him. He's so easy to buff. He's just gonna get stronger over time. I didn't expect it to be this fast. I told people like I could maybe see one or two supports buffing Phainon more than Cyrene or like these other characters somewhere there, right? But even then, I'm not sure. Like they just did it instantly, dude. They put it in raw. 4.0 buff Sparkle. Just throw her ass in there and she's better. Who do you think is a better investment, E1 Tribby or E2 Cyrene? That just depends on what teams you want and future value. If it's future value, it's just obviously Tribby. But if you're talking about for like most Amphorius DPSs, E2 Cyrene. Remembrance players are really toxic? How? Well, Saridra isn't a must pull for Phainon though. Like I'd say the reason why Saridra value, like nobody's been contesting it, is because Phaedon's new best in slot team is with Cyrene. And Anoxa's team like really wants Cyrene. So that increased Saridra value. But if you're running Cyrene-less teams, Saridra still has the same issue of like being only, I don't know, like 20% better than any other. Like she still has this exact same issue. It's only with Cyrene teams where people like, it's like obvious because Cyrene gets buffed more double skills. Like today, I saw a video of someone using E2 Anoxa, E1 Saridra, Cyrene-less, and they almost didn't zero cycle. And the only reason they zero cycled is because of Saridra double skills. They were able to take advantage of the boss being in their vulnerability state better because of Cyrene double skill. But that's the only reason. If there wasn't a gimmick on the boss that made them not move for an amount of time and give themselves vulnerability, would it have been a zero cycle? It's like, you know what I'm saying? I'll also say this same logic applies to Evernight. Evernight, although a buff to like Cassie and her team, it isn't that significant unless you have Cyrene. It's literally this exact same situation in Mono Rem, where having Cyrene gives a buff to Evernight, which buffs the team, which makes Evernight more valuable in that team. That's kind of how it goes. Plus, Evernight also gives better stacking than like anybody else on that team for Cyrene as well. It like goes back and forth. But if you don't have Cyrene, then Evernight is like eh. You know what I'm saying? Like she's kind of eh. It's just better to run her main DPS basically. I feel like the only people who hate on Phainon and they're like Cassie mains are just agenda pushers from a few CCs. Like, I'm sure a lot of these people aren't being serious. But for example, like if you'll watch a Zolza video and see her community, it's just all like Cassie, dot team, like Glaze and blind Phainon hate. Like blind Phainon hate is a real thing that has been built off of agenda purely. People don't care how strong he is. They don't care how good his Eidolons is. They don't care how good he performs against endgame. People will nitpick anything about him, like 0 AV clears and shit like that. But it's like, who the fuck gives a shit about 0 AV clears? that is like way into whale territory. Zulza was wrong from the start. I mean, yeah, but it was mainly because it's just agenda. I don't even think Zulza was that serious. Like, Zulza used to visit my streams a lot more often when I was, like, uploading way more HSR content all the time and going through betas. And she said herself, like, she doesn't actually think Phainon is bad. She just does it for the engagement. And then on top of that, she also recognized that if Phainon consumed less AV in his ult, he'd be insanely fucking broken. Like, Zulza doesn't actually think many of the things you guys see her make videos of. It's just like classic CC engagement. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing with the Firefly agenda. But now Firefly is stronger than every 2.x DPS by a mile. Maybe the game watches Zulza videos and then buffs characters out of spite. First a Firefly buff and now a Phainon buff. Back to back, by the way. Back to back patches. uh, the Phainon buff is Sparkle. Because Sparkle gives attack buffs, crit damage, res pen, 30% vulnerability, and her vertical investment E1, E2 give attack buffs and defense shred. Hmm. I'll use E6 Sparkle to buff my Saber who wants Phainon. uh, but yeah, like low key, I have considered the possibility of it. Of course, nothing's set in stone, right? This is all like speculation, like off the rooftop ideas. But my Cassie account has a Phainon I don't even use. Like that's a real thing. My Cassie account has a Phainon I don't even use. So like I'm thinking that if I go for like Sparkle on that account, because I have like 90 pulls on it right now with some pity too, and I get Sparkle, I could just run my Phainon and then pull his E2 on rerun. But if I do this, I'd probably sacrifice being able to get E2 Yai. So it's like I don't even know which one I want to do. Oh, thank you for the 2, Chameleon. Phainon haters should get laid and calm down. True that. Thank you so much for the donation. I'm going insane over these Sparkle buffs. I think everybody's going insane over them. Archer is now like the free-to-play DPS GOAT. Phainon is getting a buff. She's power creeping basically every hyper carry buffer. She works with Sparksy, which in of itself also gives, her value. Like Sparkle meta value right now is the highest. Literally the highest. Not even her release she had this much meta value, which is insane to say. Yeah, enemy. It was pretty funny. My new cope is for her to be on the token shop. You know as well as I do, Solus. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. They haven't even put Robin in there. They'd probably put Robin before they put Sparkle. Just for the agenda. Am I greedy for wanting a Phainon SP down the line? I mean, not really. I'd think something like that would happen, but not anytime soon. That shit would take a lot of years. Because it's obvious, like, the Amphoria story should end up leading to them being able to, like, be real at some point. Like, we're probably going to go back to that storyline and they actually become real. So that would mean, you know, Phainon comes back. Kafka would be added to the shop in 4.0. I mean, if that's true, that's goated, actually. I mean, I'll take that. Kafka being in the shop is like, all you need to do is pull a heist lens, and then you can decide yourself whether or not you want Black Swan or Cyrene, preferably Black Swan, and you're clearing. That would be really good. What's the damage difference between Luke, Lene, Mornai, and Luke, Lene, and SK? I can check right now, see if the calcs are updated. Let's see. Why is it taking forever to load? This happens every time. Ameth instantly loads, but Luke's doesn't. Come on. Yo, schlock. It's bugged. Nice. Well, from the last time I saw it, not having Mornai was pretty bad. And I have to say that now, not having Mornai is even worse. Because what's been discovered is that a part of Luke's kit that gives him a lot more damage scales off of the amount of breaks you get off on enemies. Right. So he wants to build up to a total of 4 tune breaks to max out that part of his like kit. And so Mornai matters more now. So if you don't have Mornai, you take way longer to tune break, you take longer to build this up. And so it leads to it's a significant loss for at least the beginning with the ramp up time. Technically, you can eventually catch up to 4 breaks without a Mornai, but not only would you have lost a ton of damage from the first few rotations, but it takes way longer, right? Like, you might get the 4th tune break off on like your 3rd or 4th rotation, and at this point, like, enemies are probably dead. It's kind of iffy. To get 2 stacks, it takes 1.5 rotations with perfect play. Yeah, there you go. And he needs a total of like 4 stacks. Now, he isn't bad. If I remember correctly, Lene SK, like no more Nye, it is like 2.x DPS level. It is around that level, like 1.7, 1.8. But then you use more Nye, and then you look at like the 4x tune breaks thing, and it's like significantly higher. Right now it isn't loading though. I don't know why. Oh wait, it loaded. There we go. Now I can see. Okay. So, wait. There actually isn't a calc without SK. Or sorry, there isn't a calc without Bornai on Gem Sheet. So, I can't actually speak to how much he'd lose from going to SK. Unfortunately. I thought he did. but he doesn't. There isn't a single calc without more nigh. Well, there was a V3 late, like there was already a V3 for Wuwa Beta, but they didn't change anything. It was like while I was asleep 8 or 9 hours ago. I hope they'd reduce it to 3 stacks. Yeah, it would be nice if they reduced the stacks. Yeah, what I was thinking about with the SK team was actually with Mornai. So with Linné and Mornai, he still doesn't hit the 1.8 like million damage mark, which is normal for 2.x main DPSs, with 2 breaks. And then it's only once you get to 4 breaks where he's like a little better than them. So he's kind of in the middle. He's basically 2.x DPS level. But that's with Linné Mornai. No Mornai probably drops off and takes a lot longer to build up. And then no Linné is like kind of chopped. There's not really any other way to put it. Maybe he is free. Oh, a free character in Wuwa. Let's go. It's in Zhang Li. Actually, technically, the last main DPS male to ever release in Wuwa was free, which was Zhang Liao. So this would mean the second male main DPS is also free if they did go that route. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. We probably would have already had leaks on this because we're only like 2 weeks away now. Yeah, we're only 2 weeks away from the next batch. I mean, Kuro has been doing restrictive characters since negative status. That's when they got a taste of being able to sell a different support for every single DPS a lot. And Hoyo realized this with probably Mono Remembrance in 3.x. Sandy moment? Yeah, basically. If anything, I do praise Ameth for having a lot of different limited support alternative options, but Ameth is probably their worst case yet, where it's like, if you were to use any free to play support alternative options for Ameth, it would be really bad. But she has a lot more limited options, which makes them more money. And she has 2 different teams. So, like, if you want the negative status team, you're probably going to want to pull her best in slot fusion burst sub DPS. So, there's that. Chisa will probably be more valuable in that one, too. How good is Ameth and SK? Linné SK? It's good. It's good. It's not like a Luke situation, which goes back to what I'm talking about. Ameth, Linné, and SK is like 2.x, late 2.x main DPS level. If not slightly better, actually. She can work with... She doesn't have this stupid restriction that Luke has. So she doesn't need to like do a bajillion ruptures to build up to her kit. She just does good damage. Straight off. Amethylene and Chisa will be good? Yeah. It's only ever so slightly worse than with SK. Do you think S2 or S3 will save him without more Nai? I'm going to be completely honest with you. We originally thought his S3 would be really good. But, okay. Brace yourselves. Please. Brace yourselves. Right. As of current, Luke's sequences from S0 to S3 is only a 36% buff to his own DPS. Okay? That's it. Getting Lene and replacing Sanhua alone is on the same level as going to S0 to S3 for him. It's not good. His sequences are trash. That's less than some signatures? Yeah. It's less than Frozen. So he has, I think, currently the weakest S0 to S3 jump of like any 2.x, 3.x DPS. He has the least of a jump to going to Sig because of the standard weapon. And then he has a massive jump from getting Lene and Mornai because of restrictions in his kit. Like, really, I'd say the only good thing about Luke at all is that his signature weapon reliance for the entire team is low. Like, they're all low. But outside of that, it's hard to really praise anything about him right now. Really undercooked. Immensely undercooked. I thought you said Luke had good dupes. Apparently, like, is common with all these fucking Wua early betas. Hakushin has fucked up translations that a lot of people misinterpreted. So his sequences ended up being a lot weaker. Technically, this exact same case scenario, but opposite, happened during Galbrena QU1 beta, where people thought they were weaker because of a mistranslation. Later it was found out they had vulnerability on a part of their kit, which made them stronger. Same thing applies here. I mean, the thing is, Alum, like, the devs don't want to push players to not get dupes. Like, it's so weird. Luke is an exception. If you look at Galbrena S0 to S3, it's like 70%. Same for Augusta. Similar with Yuno. Cart is like nearly 100% stronger at S3. Like, it's common for characters in this game, especially from 2.x, to have really good sequence investment. It's only Luke. Luke is dead ass like 1.x DPS sequence investment level. Maybe even worse compared to some of them right now. The reason I find this especially funny is because in the earlier beta, like when it first came out in the first few hours, and we had the mistranslations, people thought Luke was stronger than Ameth. And people were memeing about him being stronger than the main push Senrez. And now, like, it's like divine punishment has struck all male lovers. They're like, no, this cannot happen. And then this shit hit. Either way, though, I don't care because I'm getting Galbrena. It's like, I've already decided I'm going to get Galbrena anyways. I mean, technically, HSR Sparksy Doom posting is the exact same thing as Luke Doom posting. Like, also has some teammate reliance, might not have a full best in slot team yet, and doesn't really power creep the older DPSs, despite being a new version DPS. They're kind of in similar situations. And they'll both probably lose to the actual main push. Cough, cough, Ameth, and Yai. Do you decide who you will fold for along the way for Galbrena? Everly, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's anyone. Like, Rebecca is the only character, really. I have said earlier, there's a possibility that the Annie character, because they haven't been dripped, I'm pretty sure, catches me off guard and then I really want them. But outside of that possibility, it's like straight for sequences on Galbrina. Because I want her S6. Her S6 is really strong. Are you enjoying BSR? Yeah. It's going pretty solid. I got 3 teams now. I'm just waiting for them to add Rangiku, so I can finally have a thrust support. So it's like I have Kisuke on my spirit team. I have Yachiru on my slash team, and then I have Rangiku for my Gin team. No, you guys don't understand. Like, it's so skippable. Sigrika is my least favorite character out of all the drip markets. Possible that she's the only character in 3.2, and it simply isn't worth making Kiyuana sub DPS unless she's fucking broken out of her mind. It'd just be a waste of pulls to make my Kiyuana sub DPS. So that's out of the way. Luke and Ameth, I've already decided I'd rather get Galbrina instead, because she's rerunning on 3.1 with them. So my second half of 3.0 pulls, my 3.1 pulls, and my 3.2 pulls are all for Galbrina. And then 3.3 is Annie with likely the rerun banners with Galbrina again. So once again, the only thing that can stop me that I might pull for along the way at this point is if the Annie character ends up looking really cool and I really like them. That's the only thing that could stop me from going for like insanely sequence invested Galbrina. You like Lucia? No, not really. I don't hate her, but similar to Sigrika, I just don't really care. It's not something I really want to pull on. Do you think Sparkle will be better than Tribby? Uh, yeah, she should be. 24% res pen, 30 vulnerability versus 30 vulnerability, attack percent buffs, crit damage, and a little weaker res pen. But she has action advance and insane SP positivity. Do you get your Yeshun Guang? No. Too many games. I don't want to play so many games. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, Raj. That's what I'm thinking as well. Rebecca is like Rebecca is such a personal pull. I think I might just get her on my Cartethia account instead because I don't really want to build a team. I just care about her specifically. Oh, Zolza. Hello. uh we were talking about you earlier in the stream, I'm pretty sure. And your hate agenda for Phainon. Hey, they buffed Firefly and they buffed Sparkle to make him a little better. Both the characters you doom post all the time, back to back patches. I think they watch your videos. There's no way they don't watch your videos. Castris only needs 3 DLCs. True. True, true. Sparkle V3 getting buffs for QOL is insane with little or no debuff. Yeah. Literally all they only did 2% less vulnerability. And they did 2% less defense shred on her E2. And then gave really good QOL. At least no Firefly Nova Flare? Oh yeah, Zolza. That's surprising. I'm not gonna lie. I thought for sure the next Nova Flare would have Firefly. But instead they're buffing Dot Team even further. Which actually, that benefits you, no? I've seen your videos of using the Dot Team against endgame content. You love that team. I think her buffs will be nerfed. I mean, it's hard to believe she'll get noticeably nerfed after V3 at least. It's unlikely. V3 is almost always the biggest patch in a beta for like significant changes. And there were significant changes, but they were for the better instead of for the worse. No, but I understand like Dahlia was really that strong, but um like leakers said that there would be a Nova Flare and she'd get a new teammate. So like Dahlia, or at least originally, she wasn't planned to be just the Firefly buff. Firefly was supposed to get a spot buff alongside Dahlia too. Black Swan needs a huge buff, and yet they barely did anything. Really? I'd heard that the Black Swan buffs were like crazy for the Dot team, and they made her way better than Cyrene. Was I wrong? I do have some universal characters like Saber and other typically crit DPSs and support. I pull for HP dot specified team. Oh, I see. They're calcing weird scenarios. Heisland's RMC Kafka Cyrene is a high bar. I see. So I've been kind of like bamboozled by nitpick scenarios from people. I seen some crazy shit on Twitter that was like Black Swan 55, 56% better than Cyrene. I was like, holy shit. Like, it sounds hella unrealistic, but I don't know. I just believed it because of the sparkle buffs and how ridiculous hers were. There's gonna be part two for Poki's Gotcha War video. Oh, I don't care. I mean, big ups to Pokey for standing up for himself, but I just don't care. Right now, the Heisland's main DPS team zero cycles everything at half the cost of Black Swan. Don't know if the buff can equalize that. I see. I see. So then, like, if the buff currently went live, it would be more of a situation of like she would be stronger, but just not Cyrene team level likely. It would be better for people who didn't pull Cyrene and continued using Swan, but it wouldn't really be like an overall upgrade for the team. I mean, then again, the Dot team has really good E1s. I think at the end, like, there's always value for that. Dot team has pretty solid early investment. Morning, Gabby. See you in the early mornings now compared to late night. Yeah, that's because I've been fucking forcing myself to stay up way longer than I should to fully fix my sleep schedule. It was bad, man. It was really bad. But today I woke up at like 6 in the morning, which is nice. Really nice. Love using Cyrene and Dot. It's fun. Oh, for sure. Cyrene's like a really good pull if you have a shit ton of Chrysos Air teams. But I still make fun of her. Bye bye. V4 relevance. Bleh, this 3.8 delay is gonna make me play 4. Oh yeah, this delay for 3.8 blows. I understand. Like obviously I understand it, but dude, like imagine we'd already be close to 4.0 at this point. I hate how long it's being or been. These upcoming banners are some cheeks. Even the current ones, it's like Fugling Shaw, and then it's Sunday and what is it, Aggie? Like, dude, nobody, nobody's pulling Sunday. Okay, nobody who's looking at leaks is pulling Sunday right now. Who are they trying to fool? Who are they trying to scam?
Can you keep up?
I'm enjoying this delay because of Enfield. Yeah, I could see that. Sunday Lycon is decent. Well, yeah, for my own agenda, Zolza, though, I already have, like, on the one account I'm pulling Sparkle on, I already have Sunday Cone. So it's like, just for my own personal reasons, I don't even need him. I would have preferred, like, to be honest, I would have preferred if Sparkle just got buffed in 3.8 before Sparksy. Giving everyone one last chance at a Sunday Lycone for Sparkle before they lock him away for a million patches. The thing is, I'm confident Sunday will get a buff like Sparkle. Because Sunday is like hella lore important in the game. I'm pretty confident he'll, like, I don't know when, but I am confident he'll eventually get a buff. And he'll probably end up overtaking Sparkle again. So I don't even really care. For now, he's on the bench on my account. But hey, I know he'll return one day. The king. That'll finally be the Saber buff that everybody has been waiting for. Is when Sunday gets buffed. She finally gets a buff in some way, shape, or form. Sunday is good for Aggie, and Sunday is good for Faye. He's good for both. Like, Cyrene is better in both teams, but it's not significant enough to really justify, like, completely benching and going into hard limited. So at that point, it's like, people will still use him for those teams, at least for now, until they really feel like upgrading. Because there's multiple investments for Phainon before I'd say you really consider going into like replacing Sunday. You'd probably want Seri E1. Those probably matter just as much, if not more. You have E1 Don Hung PT. That one's pretty worth it just because of his general use. You have E2 Phainon, of course. You have his light cone. You have his light cone copies too, which are actually incredibly strong. Shit like that. I just don't watch gotcha CCs anymore. The gotcha CCs I do watch occasionally are mainly informational ones that either talk about leaks like me, or it's like Rin, or like beta content, just informational about guides and gameplay. I don't really watch many CCs anymore. I used to watch Pokey a lot though, for sure. I used to watch him a lot. The thing is, like, gotcha CC drama, it never goes anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never goes anywhere. It's just an endless loop of people arguing in bad faith, and their fan bases don't care because they get entertainment out of it. So, there's no point in even really trying to, like, do anything. Yeah, I've heard that Jeff is a really good watch. He's really fun, which is funny. If I remember correctly, so Jeff used to get like a ton of hate a few years back, mainly because I think he was in some drama with like Tectone or something. But now he's like way more popular and way more liked among fan bases, it seems. Oh, I see. BB Hood. Did not know that. I mean, that's what Saints always done. It's not really anything new. It's like you just throw punches at absolutely everyone, continuously argue in as bad faith as possible, while just mincing words, straw manning, misconstruing arguments. And you just repeat this process over and over again, and people think you're like the Messiah, right? Fucking Ayano Koji from Classroom of the Elite. You're just too intelligent. No one can stand up to your reasoning. But it's just all bad faith arguments. No, I didn't. In this case, Pokey's just blaming the gotcha system for Arknights and dispelling false rumors, along with explaining all the other tricks and strategies and saying didn't like being called out. I mean, if you don't like being called out, like, how do people not realize, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's so many gotcha CCs, and even, like, people in his own, like, main game, right, the community of Wuwa, don't like you, and agree with these other people saying this shit about you, how do you not realize at some point that maybe you are at least part of the problem? And that the things people are saying might be true to a very high extent. You know, like, it is not just any, it is everyone that is jumping on Saint Taz. Pause, right? Pause. But they're all valid criticisms. He just shuts them down and doesn't want to listen to people. Because if he ever admitted his faults and he stopped doing them or implementing them in his ways of doing content creation, he wouldn't be able to make as much money and he wouldn't be as popular. I just don't really feel like doing it, lobster salad. I understand it probably is a good video. It probably is pretty funny. But like, I just don't care. I have personal responsibilities and shit going on IRL. I have all these other gotchas to maintain and actually pay attention to. You know, I do try at least to like understand things to a good enough extent in the gotchas I play to make content on them. So I just don't want to bother. I can't understand how that many people are agreeing with him instead of looking up the facts themselves. You are expecting tribalist gacha players to actually know what they're talking about and not just agenda push to feel better. Like, no offense, I am not someone who likes to talk about politics at all because I understand people want to stay out of that shit. But if you've ever like taken a glimpse into the space of politics on social media, 90% of people are talking out of their ass and agenda pushing and nitpicking scenarios where they can really make another side look bad. This exact same logic applies to everything, and it especially applies to this gacha space. People will not play games, they will not fully understand the context, but they will nitpick shit, try to trash on it as much as possible, but then glaze the fuck out of the side that they're on. Like, this is a pretty normal thing just across any type of media. Yeah, like, it's mainly the CC's fault. I'll always say this. It's mainly the CC's fault that the WUA fan base is the way it is today. Like, you have a lot of the biggest WUA CCs in the space that have just built communities off of comparison instead of simply enjoying and talking about what's going on in their own game. Every single time. It's always about comparison, comparison. My game is better than yours. A lot of the time for a lot of these communities. They can't even appreciate what they have. They have to constantly compare. Which I will say, WUA may soon be in the midst of getting their own, taste of this with Silver Palace being released. I've already seen videos of people comparing Silver Palace to WUA, and dude, they're comparing a CBT1 to WUA current day, and the CBT1 is actually holding its own. So they might get a taste of their own medicine at this point soon. Now, either way, I hate the comparison. It's like, why are you even comparing a CBT1? It's still unpolished to WUA currently, but whatever. At least WUA players will finally understand that having a different engine gives you severe limitations. Like, I've been trying to explain this to people for so long that whenever they do these fucking animation comparisons among these games, one, not all of these games, like Genshin especially, want to do the flashy shit like WUA does, but two, there are genuine engine restrictions, and it's hard for them to go any further. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you gave Hoyo the same engine as WUA, I guarantee they'd be able to make the same game, if not better. And that's a good thing, by the way. Like, I want WUA to make it better games and Kuro make better games. And I want Hoyo in turn to make better games and stuff. I don't care if they copy off of each other, if they keep improving on each other, right? Like, that's the absolute best possible way it could go for me personally. Silver Palace does take less space than WUA, but I'll say this is an unfair comparison. Because, one, Silver Palace isn't really open world. It's more like hub, in my opinion. Like, they have open spaces that are pretty open, but they aren't open world, right? But if you're talking about, like, graphics, to be honest, I'd even say, like, character designs, Silver Palace is insanely detailed. Like, I just don't think WUA can compete. Like, WUA can compete towards like people's biases of its style, because that's obviously unique to it. But Silver Palace designs are just, I couldn't believe they were that fucking detailed when I played CBT. It was insanity. But Silver Palace took up 29 gigs CBT1 on my PC. Took up around 30 gigs. But that was only with one chapter of story in the game, and there weren't that many areas to explore, so it obviously increases over time. Yeah, not being able to jump in Silver Palace blows. They should just add that. I put it in my feedback. Designs of what? The characters and the way they look in game. I think Wuwa still has better combat animations though. Wuwa has better combat animations. But when it comes to like the design and how the characters look in game, I'd have to go towards Silver Palace. And to be honest, considering Cinderella is like the first limited character in Silver Palace, and her ult animation is that good, I'd say they're in a good route. The only thing is, it's hard to compare combat animations, at least when it comes to, like, for example, like Q1 Forte, right? You have Q1 Forte, they don't have shit like this. Like, usually the ult is the craziest animation, and then the rest is very grounded. You know what I'm saying? It's very grounded, and there isn't much, flashiness going on. It's just the ult. It has room to grow. Oh, for sure. That's why I absolutely love it. It's like I said in my video about Silver Palace's CBT. Dude, it's only CBT 1. There's going to be a CBT 2 confirmed because, well, they asked people to do surveys for it. So there's going to be a CBT 2, possibly another open beta test or other tests until it officially releases. And then it's going to be the very beginning of the game. And they're still going to improve from there even further. Like, if you look up, there might be videos on YouTube of Wuwa's CBT1. It was bad. Okay? It was not good. So, for Silver Palace being a CBT1, it's unbelievable, to be honest. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was like a semi-chopped launch that was still really good. But it's a CBT1, so. Oh, Phoenix. Is the Silver Palace story good? It's probably it's mainly because of the detective thing, right? It's hard to say whether a story is objectively better than the other when they're kind of closer, in my opinion. The presentation of the story in Silver Palace and like the background, the kind of world building that is going on around it, the only thing that feels comparable to me is HSR's story. But because the presentation in Silver Palace is way better, I'm actually more interested in Silver Palace story than any other gacha. So they have good story, which is very important, especially for like a detective game. They have absolutely beautifully designed characters. Everything is really good. They give you free energy from doing dailies. Um, Really, the only thing that's left is like gacha system and a few minor fixes. There really isn't anything significant, in my opinion, that stands out in Silver Palace where it's like, oh shit, this is really bad. Just minor things that can be easily fixed. Their gacha is bad. You just can't say that. It's CBT1. Like, there is a data mined gacha that is basically no different to HSR's. but that doesn't mean anything. It's CBT1. They can change it. Game isn't going to be out for like another year.
Let's not linger.
Is the story familiar to Death Note or Monster Hunter? I haven't, or Monster. I haven't watched Monster. Death Note. Hmm. I would say yes, just in the similarity of a detective story. Yes. Like the MC has this special ability where they can kind of like they're basically a god detective. Like they have this special ability where they can put stuff together and perfectly reenact actions from the past to give people a better understanding of what may have happened, right? When she's like tracking down something. So she has that ability. It's also very interesting. There's already some plot twists early on in the story with like Cinderella and stuff. There's already a shit ton of stuff set up. The partner, whoever you choose, male MC is available in CBT1. So no matter what, your brother or your sibling is the male in the game, and it's also implied that like something happened to them, and there's like a link to some new case you got to the disappearance of your sibling, and you're like catching up on that. There's a lot. There's a fuck ton going on in the story, and it's only the first chapter.
Let's not linger.
Some story where the MC doesn't lose memories. Yeah. I mean, like, Lua players would just change the talk to gameplay. Which, to be honest, is understandable. Like, Bleach Soul Resonance is much more of a mobile game. But, um, so it's Death Note from the point of view of L. Yeah, exactly, Alum, exactly. That was the best. That's the best way you could put it. But like, yeah, Bleach Soul Resonance has better gacha than like, well, any of the mainstream gachas currently. It isn't even close. Anyone who would argue that is kind of stupid. The pull count you get in Bleach Soul Resonance is pretty significant. They have a guaranteed limited character banner, and then the weapon banner is also guaranteed, but only 40 pity. Like, it's just so easy to get characters and weapons. I'm a low spender. I've had the worst luck you can possibly have, which means soft pity or hard pity every single time. And I've gotten every single character with weapons since release. And keep in mind, at the beginning, banners were only 2 weeks long, which means I was able to get 2 week long banner characters and their weapons back to back. Then they changed it to 3 weeks, going back to back again. I'd say the biggest problem with Silver Palace isn't even the game itself, really, like anything bad in it. It is the optimization, because it's an Unreal Engine 5 game. The lag I get on that game is bad. It is not good. It's more than Wuwa, easily more lag than Wuwa. Yeah, I know it's a CBT1. That's the greatest thing about it. It's like all the issues you can really call it out on, even if you're really nitpicky, are very easily fixable, except for maybe optimization, but they have the time for that because it's only CBT1. There's going to be multiple more beta tests and then an official release, which is really nice. I do think, even though it's pretty unfortunate, Silver Palace will probably be the next most mainstream gacha game after Wuwa that isn't Hoyo based. Obviously, Enfield will also be pretty popular, but I imagine Silver Palace being more popular than Enfield. Oh yeah, the UI is amazing. That's the best UI I've ever like had in any game I've played. Like completely fresh UI, I'm not used to it at all, and I understand almost where everything is just off of playing the game for a few hours. That's really good. There's also probably NTE and Ananta. Yeah, but they seem like more casual ones. And even then, I'd still like to think that Silver Palace would be more popular than them. It's mainly because of the setting, the graphics, character designs, the combat being more grounded. It's less, flashy and moving around a lot. Like, for example, Lua. I think a lot more people I'll say this, right? Okay, this is a really good way I could put it. Silver Palace does not feel like a gacha. It just doesn't. I don't even understand why they made it a gacha, but like it feels like a normal solo player detective game where you just play the story, you get what you want, you play it like that, right? The combat and like everything about the game feels nothing like a gacha. It just has gacha added on top. So that, in my opinion, appeals to a lot of other people more. Ananta isn't a gacha anymore. Well, I mean that's fine. I still think Silver Palace would be better, or is probably going to be more popular. It just appeals to more people. I'd say like Silver Palace combat is kind of God of War esque. If you've played God of War Ragnarok and God of War 4 with the camera and shit, that's what the combat feels like. It feels so much more like a solo player, like fantasy adventure game than it does, I don't know, a gacha game. Yeah, exactly, Dauntless. Have you even played God of War? Yes. It's one of the few solo player games I've got out of my way to play. I played all the God of Wars on my uncle's PlayStation when I was young, the early ones. And then when I grew up, I played like God of War Ragnarok and the other ones on a PlayStation when I had it. I know it sounds like I'm glazing Silver Palace like crazy, but I swear to God, like I'm not sponsored. I'm not trying to, like, you guys know I can't even get sponsored because I cover leaks on a lot of these gotcha games. Holy shit, that game is so good. I'm so mad it isn't officially out yet. No, I don't think they'll remove gotcha. Like, even though that would be good and fun, uh, I imagine with how high quality the game is, they don't have to do kind of like a play like DNA did to get attention by removing the gotcha. All they need to, like, they probably want to make money off it. I imagine they really want to make money off it after investing this much and going this far with the game. I mean, it's hard to kill anything. Like, people who like Wuwa and its combat, like, I think Wuwa will always have its specialty in the combat and, like, intros, outros, quick swap, and shit like that. Like, if you play Wuwa for the combat, I don't think you'd play Silver Palace over it. Like, that's just, let's get that out of the way. But Silver Palace will be incredibly popular just as a game itself. I say that's where it has the advantage in. As a game, instead of as like a fucking enemy spawn rotation simulator with your characters, like Silver Palace has easily got Wuwa beat. It's got most gotchas beat. This ain't only a Wuwa thing. I'm using Wuwa as the standard here because it's like the next most popular mainstream gotcha outside of like the Hoyo games. Is Silver Palace only PC and mobile right now? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Wuwa changed their early story from the beginning because a lot of people complained about how bad it was. Story was pretty chopped when the game first released. I mean, the game just in general had some choppy stuff. Alrighty, guys. Gonna end the stream here. I got other stuff to do. I'm tired of playing these gotchas. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night.